Can I ask why you've got a hammer, John?
I just found it on the table.
Hang on.
Slightly threatening, but you know.
So you've got swords on the walls, as we found out a week or two ago, and you're walking around with a hammer.
No, I'm sitting down with a hammer.
You're sitting down with a hammer, okay.
Oh, that's all right. That's fine.
It'd be a bit weird if I was walking around with one.
But of course, gives me great pleasure. Episode 83's Fan Roundtable. Going to crack straight into it because Wheels has got to go play tennis. So we got to hurry up this week. Unbelievable stuff from the Wheels. So first of all, we'll start off by saying thank you very much for coming on, gentlemen. George, John and Ian. Lovely to see you. First of all, we'll start off with Enfield, the away trip to Enfield. Myself and George and John braved the trip to Enfield. Obviously, George wasn't that brave because he drove in a car. Me and John Wills, we experienced Histed's away travel, and it was magnificent. Many a karaoke tune was sung. Wonderful coach, and that's not just the football. Now, in terms of the football, just to kind of prelude before we start talking about it, we had an injury crisis. Unfortunately, Finn O'Mara got himself sent off for Cray, so he couldn't come back in. We had, I think, as I remember, wasn't it? Craig Stone was 50-50, could play, and the poor old Alex Breffo couldn't play either. So Ollie Black came back into the team, and played very well. And I felt we were really unlucky that day. But I'll hand it over to you guys first. John, do you want to start on Enfield?
Yes, it was a long journey, but it was good. And I think Craig Stone, you were saying he was carrying a injury throughout the match and did amazingly well to stay on, and you wouldn't have noticed it. But because of the lack of cover, as you say, Finn not available, then Gary Alfick's name appeared on the subs bench.
Oh yeah, it did, didn't it? Yeah.
All to see an appearance, but I thought there were some really good performances. Kane Penn again, and particularly pleasing was seeing how KNORY Scott played. He needs a injection of confidence to go with his talent, and I thought he had a really good game. James Hull as well, some good performances. Once again, a very narrow defeat, and it was a bit of a shame, the final score. I think we deserved to draw.
Georgie?
Yeah, I agree with what John said, to be honest. It sort of would have been easier for us as a promoted side to go there and lose 4-0 than it would to be so close and sort of come away with nothing. Great to see that we were really loud behind the goal. Sort of made a good show of ourselves there. In terms of the performance, really good performance. You wouldn't really notice Ollie Black, coming back first 90 minutes in a long time. Well, for us anyway. Obviously, that loan spell at Eastbourne's been really successful for him. You obviously know Hasler as well. It was always going to be a big miss away from home, but they conduct themselves really well. Could have scored, hit the post flush late on, and then not long before they scored, I think. So could have gone either way. And that's a team that should have got promoted last season. They ballsed up the playoff final, so they really, really, really should have gone up. They had a playoff final at home and didn't make it. So they should be in the Conference South. There we are, competing against them, almost getting something. Very, not too dissimilar to Billericay. It was just that little slice of quality was the difference. And as a player, he doesn't often score either. Just picked out a worldie, one of those. Nothing that we could do about it. Bit of a shame, but yeah, promising. It's promising still.
Yeah, the game itself, like, I know we left, we'd lost, but we didn't feel like we'd lost. First of all, you know, Enfield fans were saying how great our support was and how good our side was. It's just those fine margins, as you say. Chinadu, you know, we all thought it was in, didn't we? Like we were jumping about 8 foot in the air. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, and that's football can be so cruel. You know, one moment we think we've won it, and then they get one little chance, one little sniff, and the game's done. It's it can be like that some days, can't it? Well, just wanted to give an honourable shout out to Louis' mum. Yeah, as she's known as Louis. She's not known as Jane. It's Louis' mum. She was magnificent on the coach, fantastic singer. I won't have a word against her singing. And no, it was a very fun journey. John was the agent provocateur as ever, and what is said on the coach stays on the coach. I think that's what we agree to, hey John?
I didn't agree to anything.
Well, I could bring up all the things you were talking about, but we won't, because I want to keep your image as it is.
Oh, what is my image? I've always been looking
nice guy, you know.
Yeah, yes, it was a good coach ride. But few songs. Remember, you said that the coach was divided into 3 sections.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
You said that very loudly as well, which was, I don't know if that went down too well.
No.
Anyway, right.
The ground looks great. What's the ground like? Enfield's ground looks really nice.
Really good. Their clubhouse is more like a pavilion, really. More like the Delaware Pavilion. It's a 1930s design Lido building. You look like that tiling. You think, oh, where's the changing rooms? I'm going to go for a swim inside it. I think the guy said it started in the 30s but finished in the 60s. So it's got elements of sort of. That wasn't even me. She's next door. That's all right. Yeah, as elements of both, and it's listed, so it's never going anywhere. They can't do anything to change it, which is obviously has good points and bad points. But absolutely cracking building. And even though it had an athletics track, you could get really, really, really close behind both goals. So not a bad ground at all, actually. One of my favourites we've been to.
Oh, and just a quick mention, the programme.
Was excellent. Had a picture of me in it.
Gabriel from Enfield, who does the programme editing. We've got a page in there in the programme. Thank you again, Gabe. I'm sure you won't be listening to this, but, thought I'd give him a shout out. It was nice to get a few things about Hastings in there. And obviously a picture of your ugly face, George.
I mean, I was just thinking, when you see programs like that, it was good, had some nice content. But when you see the standard of the Hastings program, it's great, isn't it? You know, the Enfield program looked like it was printed on.
Cheap
I don't know. It was really, but and there's not much. I know you're liking it because your face was in it, but I was just saying, really mainly what I'm saying is a big shout out to whoever's involved with the Hastings United programme. It's packed with readable stuff and really good.
What about that badge on the front though, John?
Well, what badge? What badge? Yes, it is sponsored by Disney, I know, but hopefully not for long.
Yeah.
Chris, I will say about Gabriel, obviously, you've got a reputation for bringing people onto the podcast and then them turning out to be not quite what we may have expected. Gabriel, fantastic bloke.
Yeah. No, he was a nice guy, wasn't he?
Top bloke, and he came through on his promise of a beer. We had a long chat after the game, me and him, like top bloke. So it was an absolute pleasure. So Chris, there's 1 point in the bag for you this season for bringing on nice people onto the podcast. So well done. Yeah,
thank you. Normally they're coked up the hooligans or all sorts of other things. So
chopping and changing.
Yeah, and chopping and changing.
The local ones.
Exactly. Right, and so moving on from that, obviously a disappointing defeat. But I know we were all in good spirits after that. So then we come on to Corinithian Casuals in the Velocity Champions League Cup. Just to start off, first of all, I must say, magnificent thoughts from George. He rung up Smithy, who hasn't turned up for this, and told him, look, play the Champions League music as the players come out. Be a nice touch. It's Tuesday. It's Champions League day. It's Velocity Cup. I mean, this is it's a massive trophy. You've got to have the Champions League. And it did happen. And I think John and George recorded it. Very funny. I mean, what do you think about that, George?
Just wonderful to see the Champions League theme tune at a ground where it should be played. The great pilot fields, ground steeped in history, and finally getting the walkout music that it deserves with that fantastic tune that UEFA have ripped off from Handel. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And perhaps it inspired the team. They played like they were playing in the Champions League, particularly in that first half. We were absolutely wonderful. And, you know, maybe it put off Corinithian Casuals, and it definitely put off the liner. I'm not sure what he was doing in the first half, bless him. But it felt like big night, Champions League, lino, got a wave, everyone got side. But perhaps he was thinking, oh, VAR will have a look at it for me because it's a Champions League night. But no, yeah, a bit of a laugh, wasn't it? Proper bit of a laugh, and Hastings laughing at ourselves. It's always good. So it's always good fun, isn't it? And then what followed was just wonderful, wasn't it?
Yeah, true. Ian, you haven't had a chance to speak yet. Do you want to touch on this game?
Yeah, I mean, as George said, it was really fantastic. It was one of those ones where you kind of, you know, you're out on a Tuesday night. It's quite a small crowd. The kickoff was delayed by 15 minutes. Slightly sat there thinking, sometimes those kind of pick a young team without any experience, things can go a bit wrong. And it was fantastic. I mean, obviously you have to look at Corinithian Casuals' league position and their goals for total as a slight, slight caveat. But, you know, they had a pretty strong team out, and they were a, experienced team, and you're putting kids up against that, and our lineup got progressively younger as the game went on. You sort of wondered if it had gone to extra time whether we'd been putting on toddlers or something. And it was just a superb team performance, just a brilliant effort, particularly by some of the kids. I mean, obviously they're older than kids, but you know what I mean. I thought especially defensively, because in the midfield and in the defence, that's where the kind of physical battles get lost if you've got young players coming up against more experienced ones. And some of those youngsters did a just tremendous job. I thought Harvey Mapstone was just immense. Definitely, yeah. Throughout the whole thing. I thought Cian Moynes really grew into it, really started dominating the midfield as it went on. Josh Turner really came into the game as it went along. Oscar Barry looked really nervous at the start, but then kind of really found his feet. And it was really inspiring stuff. It was kind of the sort of thing that I loved watching at a football match, that kind of sense of really, really being inspired by watching something rather than just a sort of standard team performance. Yeah, it was just excellent. It was really good fun. And the senior players as well. KNORY had a great game, which was lovely to see. Yeah, James Hull had a really good game as well, So yeah, from throughout really, it was just a great night in a sort of unexpected but really wonderful way.
Yeah, I mean, I know personally I would say I wouldn't say I was bricking it, but I saw that team and I thought, oh Christ, if they're putting out a full side, it could be a struggle. And from the first kick of the ball, we just on the front foot throughout. Just really impressive, a very enjoyable game of football to watch. Yes, Corinthians are going to struggle this season. And I mean, when they play our first team, well, it could be quite a scoreline. But it's got to acknowledge that these are young lads out there, and particularly Oscar Barry. I thought that he just really did come into the game, nearly hit a. I'm sure he did. Did he not have about a 30-yard strike? I'm sure he had a little crack from outside the box, didn't
to the keeper's left, wasn't it?
And KNORY, I felt, was brilliant. The whole game on it, just like almost like he was playing for his squad place, like he really was up for it. And thank Christ he got a goal. Hopefully that's going to help now his confidence. And it was a bloody good one, wasn't it?
Yeah, really nice finish. Yeah.
I think for those who weren't at the game last night, Tuesday, I think it was 2-1, and obviously they equalised, but in the first half we could have had 4.
Yeah.
Quite easily. Like it's hard to describe how much we were all over them, shooting towards the Cole Warren. It was all Hastings. Like first half an hour, it was like, I know Corinithian Casuals turned up at 7:30, but it was like it was 8:30 by the time they touched the ball. It really was all Hastings. And then second half, I think you said, Chris, last night when the rain come down, it was a bit of a leveler and it brought them back into the game. But the pitch held up really well. Fair play to Simon Rodkins for that. But yeah, it was 2-1 doesn't actually do our boys justice. I don't think it was a pretty convincing, deserved, dominant win. And great to see Chinedu score as well. But it really, really was dominant.
John?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And as being said, I've never seen us have quite so many touches in opposition box in that first half. And if you'd walked in as not knowing any different, you would have thought that we were playing our first team. Really, they actually played as a team. They played to Gary's system, and it looked good. And it was very exciting going forward. The triangles they were playing, the balls in behind the defenders, the runs off the ball. It was top class and thoroughly deserved win.
Their goal was greeted by absolute silence, which I thought was quite impressive. There was only lacked tumbleweed blowing across the pitch.
Didn't even know they'd scored.
No, it was a slightly weird goal as well, wasn't it? So it sort of it was very strange.
It was just a mistake, wasn't it? So it's not like they sort of played football around us or anything. It's just a clearance which deflected off our own defender and went to them. Didn't even know they scored. I was like, why has their bloke picked up the ball and why is he running back to the halfway line? It's a bit odd. I think they scored, and then it took a Tannoy announcement for that to be confirmed. They brought absolutely no one, I thought, last night. Yeah. Also, wanted to mention, I hadn't mentioned it, Finley Chapman, quality on the ball and some quality deliveries in as well.
Yeah,
real high quality. I know he's played a couple of times for the first team. He's come on as sub, and another real talent. And they're being nurtured really well. I think last night we could really see what top people we have coaching these young players and coaching the whole setup there. These players have come through Angie Brown, Ben Cornelius, and obviously been guided by John Meaney and Gary Elphick, by top people who are firm, who know what they're doing, and also so encouraging to the young players, and the way they're giving feedback and like live during the game, just the way they are with them, just inspiring really. They've got inspiring people around them, these young players, and they must feel like they're definitely in the right place. I mean, what if you're someone from this area, a Sussex player, and you're wondering where to go at the age of 13, 14, 15, the answer is Hastings United, because you've got that pathway through that's so there in front of you. It's so obvious to see. James Hull was the old man on the pitch at one point last night. He's a senior player. He's in the first team. A player who's so far into the first team now, Tom Chalmers, who's homegrown, was rested last night because he was such an important player in the first team. The pathway is there, and it was just wonderful to see that thread through the club last night. It was really wholesome.
Definitely. I've got nothing else to add to that, really. It was just such a cracking night. And just, in terms of games coming up, I mean, I know that most of those players are going to come out now, but it's just nice to know you can slot those people in, and hopefully over the season, one or two of those lads can come in. You know,
Yeah, and it's great as a supporter to get a chance to see them play it kind of theoretically in the first team. You know, because as a sort of slightly fair weather supporter, you don't get to see those players except as bit part players quite often. You know, late substitutes and so on. So you don't really have that sense of who they are and what they can do and so on. So last night was a really, yeah. I mean, we've already used the word inspiring a lot, but it was really inspiring. Because you just look at them and think, wow, you know, there's some real players here and some real characters as well. You know, there's some real leadership going on.
Well, particularly in this cup, they're going to be playing in it. You know, we were obviously in quite a few cups. I'm fairly sure that the same side will be playing. Maybe a couple of changes, maybe, but in the Velocity Champions League. And we're playing Whitehawk next, aren't we?
Whitehawk away. These games seem to be being played on the either the 22nd, the 29th, or the 5th, but it's not been confirmed yet.
It hasn't been confirmed, no.
No, I know it's England are playing Wales, I think, on the 29th. So I'm sure a lot of fixtures have been moved to miss World Cup games. We'll see. The other game that recently has been confirmed is Margate away on the 20th of December. But yeah, it's an opportunity for. I think Whitehawk away might be a sterner test than Corinithian Casuals, but
we have good form, old Whitehawk.
They're in good form.
Yeah,
they knocked out Ashford in the last round. I think they won 4-0 at the weekend, so they might fancy it. Get them out there. Get the young boys out there. They're good enough.
Yeah. If we get knocked out, do we go into the Velocity Europa League?
Wonderful.
Yeah, well, I don't know the Europa League music. Do we know do they have a music?
Nobody knows the Europa League music. It's a piece of free jazz or something.
By the way, I had some great chats with Gary and John Meaney after the game. Yeah. Their enthusiasm is infectious. All the players coming over to them, you could just see that. They're just like, particularly with Meaney, people around him, they're just like sponges, aren't they? They're trying to soak up because who can't get, I don't want to say excited because that sounds a bit wrong, but who can't be buoyed by Meaney's approach? You know, like he's hang on, that sounds very dodgy.
No, it's the best way to put it. The guy's just. I said to him, if you bit into him, it would be like having a Lucozade. The guy's just energy. It's wonderful to see, and it is infectious, isn't it? It's joyous and infectious, and he absolutely loves it.
It looks like lives, breathes, eats football, doesn't he? He really does. It comes across as that way. Yeah,
it must be wonderful, particularly for the younger players to have that, and the guy. These people that got your back, and they're not gonna hammer you if you've misplaced a pass, or there's nothing like that going on at the club. It's all positive. Yeah,
and that's why Chris wants to dance with him.
Everyone wants to dance. Everyone wants to dance with John Meaney. End of the season, we do that. Feel the heat, yeah, that as well. Right, so let's look forward to Haringey on the weekend. It's going to be a tough fixture. I'm going towards a draw here. My feelings on this, Ian, what do you think? Haringey.
Well, as you know, Chris, I don't do predictions, but I'm sure there'll be a big crowd there. How about that?
That's good. That's good enough. That's all. That is actually a little bit of a prediction, but we'll leave that. As you know, we don't want to be fun. John, is it going to be 1-1 to Hastings?
I think we deserve to be picking up 3 points there. You know, but there's not a lot that we have to change. We're playing. I can't remember a game where we've really played badly, and hopefully it's kind of the bounce of the ball has been against us the last few games, but that's got to turn. And I think because you've got Gary and John Meaney, they're playing this system that is effective, and it just hopefully it's going to turn our way on Saturday.
George, 5-0.
It's gonna win.
5-0 Hastings.
5-0, 5-0. Right, quickly, I've got to mention this. Smithy's not here, but I want to mention it. Fan Forum, that's for all Hastings fans, not just Supporters Club members. Fan Forum, 24th of this month. Please come along at the Pilot Field. We're going to have Billy Wood there. We're also going to have a selection of whoever Gary says we can have there, because the players will be training that day, so they can come in and out, pop in and out, and see us fans. So it'll be a great evening. Obviously, there's lots of questions that people might want to ask Billy as well. As long as everyone does it in a nice fashion, you know what I mean? Sensible conversations, that's what we were looking for. But I thought I'd mention it. Hopefully the advertisement will be out soon. But it's for all fans. That's the 24th of this month, 7 o'clock, doors open.
I've just got something for John.
Go on.
I wonder if he could complete this rhyme. The future is bright. It's Clara and...
Blue.
There we go. Excellent.
Right.
Excellent.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
I was just walking around at half time. And you look back and you see the floodlit pitch, and then you look to the right when you're by the shop and you see that fantastic stand. There's nothing like it in all the grounds we go to. And you know, sometimes you forget how lucky we are to have that Pilot Field there. Not only is it steeped in the tradition and the history of the club, but it's such a ground where all the away supporters that come, they say such positive things about it. It's so unusual compared to these bog standard grounds that we go to. And as George said, there's a couple that stand out, and I think we really are one of those clubs. And it's nice to, the council have made an offer that they're going to try and turn this ground into something the town can be proud of. And I think it's time to start doing
have
that.
Have they, John? Have they made an offer?
Well, that's what was said. You got to at least talk with people and hold them to promises, haven't you? But apart from that, it's a fantastic ground that we've got. And, to play there in the claret and white with a proper badge is a dream that is out there.
So I take it you're coming along to the Fan Forum on the 24th of this month, John, yeah?
No way.
You're not. No. You're just talking on Facebook. Yeah, go on.
I will. Yeah.
You're strong on social media, mate. Right. Well, listen, thanks, chaps. Ian, George, John, take care, and I will see you at the game.
See you at the game.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Twitter Keith, keeping us all happy. Twitter Keith, keeping the Hastings fans highly motivated during the working day. Keith,
absolutely.
Excellent work.
Busy man.
Keep smacking that like button. We all get it. Let's go. Thanks, Keith.
That we stand up for.